All right. So I recorded this last night, but I think the mic was turned off, so hopefully this one works. I'm going to do a real quick and dirty for the squads that I used for a lot of these feats, as well as the factions I faced. I'll give you some alternate squads as well, but these are the ones that were just like the easiest to get because they had the best survivability. They had the best ability to get best survivability. Their factions, like they were just built to get these feats as easy as I could, and they were able to tolerate lower stamina, so it made it just a bit easier. So starting with Sector 1, we have... Oh, and one last thing I should mention. These factions are all meant to get the feats done because of the team composition itself. The extra data discs and stuff I would use were more for the survivability or lethality. Like in the case, I got Serosiu Form and Booming Voice. However, the ability for me to complete the feats is inherent to the team itself. It's not like I required a certain data disc. And if I did, I will explain why. Which there's only a couple, and they're ones that we've seen time and time again. But there's only a couple that hard required it. Otherwise, the rest of them, the feats were inherent to the team itself. So starting with Sector 1, the first one is Secret Intel. You have to get it 80 times. So I used a BB-8 squad in Resistance. Now, BB-8's a plug and play, so you could technically slap them anywhere. This was just because there's no resistance feats anywhere else this time around. So I decided that, the first couple fights I did, I simply just used BB-8 in this Ray team here. I used Ben Solo just because he can give me a couple of armor shreds for that feat as well. Just maybe one or two in there if that. But I played this one out manually to extend how long I was able to pass Secret Intel around. You could do auto. This is a Galactic Legend team. They'll probably win in Sector 1. But I was able to get this done in about 5 battles. Or basically, before I got to the first mini-boss, I was already done with this feat. So I got rid of this team right after that. The second one is getting 80 defense ups. Now, this one, there's actually a way you can get this with a Galactic Republic squad. However, that one I used only on my first playthrough. So when I was trying to just get through all the mission nodes. Basically what that one is a Jedi Master Kenobi squad, but instead of using you use your core trio of JMK, Cat, and Snips, but then you swap in Plo Koon and Yoda. Now, main reason for this, Plo Koon I think is second special because they're already defense up, and then Yoda spreads it around, so that's 10 right off the bat. And also, that's a team that can most likely win. So, you'll get some defense up out of that. You'll win and beat the node with 3 stars, and you'll get a Galactic Republic win for your global. Hits 3 all at once. If you're like me, and I was just using a generic Galactic Republic squad, I ended up using this Clone Wars Chewie squad, which cheeses the hell out of it. Because his lead makes it so that you get 50% chance to get defense up when damaged. So I just did any combination of my tanks. I find a node that has enemies that multi-attack, and I just hit auto basic. If I win or lose, you will get 80 in one fight. So that takes the cake. Armor Shred, there's actually a lot of options. The Phoenix squad works well because this time we have a Nice with Zombie. So if you bulk them up well enough, you can have it so that Sabine will survive long enough to get at least 7 or 8 armor shreds. And you do need Rex for this, though. Kanan doesn't offer enough regen to actually make it worth it. Rex, with his constant AoEs, allowing Chopper to keep refreshing, means that you'll be able to get more armor shreds out of this. This needs to really be done on the Night Sister squad since they constantly spread debuffs and therefore they'll heal your team. And your team does need to be bulked up. If that's not an option because you don't have Rex leveled up, what you can do is you can use a Fennec Shan Bounty Hunters team, which I'm meaning Boss can lead and Fennec on the team somewhere, because her armor shred ability refreshes every other turn. And the second that you get the contract payout, it actually inflicts 2 armor shreds. So that's another option. A third option that you can use, which may get you 1, maybe 2, depending how you play it, is going to be a gas squad. And the main reason I'd say you could use that one is because you'll also go Galactic Republic wins on top of it.
all of those are viable. There's definitely more. I did mention the resistance squad up top. There's more armor shred characters. This was just what I used, so I wasn't really pulling from other factions, so that only one team was really getting a stamina used, and I wasn't having to worry about them being used later on. And then Jedi kills. So this one, I use a Galactic Republic squad, Jedi Master Kenobi lead. I use Cat only just to get the Shien kill on the first enemy that, like, if I'm facing a very problematic team. So if I have, like, a Phoenix squad and I need to kill Sabine so she doesn't go insane, I'll kill her right off the bat. If I have a First Order squad and I want to kill Hux so that my team can counterattack, I'll kill him first. It just gives you that little bit of strategic play, but then every other kill would typically come from the rest of your Jedi. Most likely Snips will get the kills because she assists so much, but if you get a couple Zealous Ambitions, Grandmaster Yoda could do that. But again, this team is meant to work without data disk if needed. So really Snips will be the ones getting your kills, but Master Kenobi, Yoda, General Kenobi can get some kills in there here and there. And if you use this one, actually, I used this one right after I finished Secret Intel. You'll get a good amount of wins out of it, and you'll probably be able to get all 50 before you have to switch to the defense up or armor shred teams to like finish out the sector. And I'm going to skip the mini boss and boss feats because they're all pretty formulaic. We know how they work. So don't worry about those. They're the same stuff we've seen for years, months now. So Sector 2, the first one, evade 100 attacks you've won. So the first one is this Jedi Master Luke squad, which I feel like has been a pretty common staple since this feat came out. You have 3 characters in the middle there that will spread around 4 sites. You just got to, run the timer as long as you can to get evades and then win. That's the only trade-off, is this one you actually do have to win. However, another one that you can use, I'm trying to remember the faction. Oh no, it is this team. It's this droid squad right here. So Lobot, he actually, with his new rework, he will give foresights out to light side droids whenever another light side droid gains foresight. So what you can do is, if you have light side droids that can generate foresight for you, i.e. BB-8, you could slap him in this team like I have here, and basically as he gains foresights, he will spread it amongst the team, and then they'll be getting you evades. And because there's no requirement for like a faction-based win in this one, you don't really need to care about, like, if you have like a Wat Tambor in there to help speed things along, if you want to throw a Hermit Yoda in to speed things up, all those are fine. But in this case, the reason it works is because you need to win, and with Sortie, she's got that AoE triple attack, very much like Dash's nuke. It's the Sabak Shuffle. So if you get a Zealous Ambition, this is the exact equivalent of that. It will pretty much kill everything on the enemy team. And the only thing you got to wait for is, if you want to make sure you get a 3 stars, if you kill the first enemy that takes a turn, your entire team revives, and they come back with damage immunity. Where is that? There's like one of her, I think it's her leadership. Here we go. If you defeat the first enemy that takes a turn, everybody else is revived at 60% health, and they get damage immunity and instant defeat immunity. So all you gotta do is just cycle back to Sortie's turn, use her nuke, and then you'll basically get that dub right there. And you'll probably have generated a decent amount of foresights out of that as well. So something to consider. And since you already kind of see the labels on them, these are also ones that can help you with the 14 battles to no attackers. So the droid one and this evasion one up here, they're both no attacker feats, so that takes care of that. But if you want a pure no attacker feat so that you can use that one, Imperial Troopers are still taking the cake. With Zealous Ambition back in the game, they basically supercharge them even more, but they're going to be the ones that will probably get you the most no attackers wins. And the only reason that I'm okay with using them here is because the next time we need them are Sector 4. So really, to get no attacker wins, here it's probably going to be long enough that you'll regenerate your stamina by the time you get to 4 that I'm okay with using them at this point. I will say that you do need to take into account that I have Scout Trooper here. I don't know how many of us have him or have her. I know that they did a lot of the galactic chases when Leia was coming out so that we would be able to get these characters. But if you don't have her,
Really, the only other options you have are Storm and Shore, so another tank. Um, or since this isn't really faction specific, it's just no attackers, you could just swap in like a Malik or something to give yourself a little tanky boost. But, obviously having a full faction of Imperial Troopers does make it a lot easier. And then lastly, your Plague Feat. So I use this hodgepodge combination here with Malik thrown in. And I versed a Mon Mothma squad with a voluntary vanguard. So this is one where a voluntary vanguard does help. So Malik basically will take the mark. What'll happen is you need to have a Sharut somewhere on the enemy team, as well as having, if possible, an SRP. If you can't have that, that's fine, but Sharut is pretty mandatory, I would say. So Malik will tank all the hits. Most of, if not all, the Mon Mothmas are single target damage. So if you see there's more than if there's 2 or more AoE damagers, I would probably try to find another node. But Malik will tank all the hits and spread fear. And for that reason, you don't need speed data disk on these guys because they'll be able to generate the speed from the missed turns on the enemy. And then you pretty much are just running around the enemy, just using AoE from Talzin. You're going to use Asajj's specials to generate the plague from Talzin's leadership. Daka, you can honestly just keep using a revive. She'll heal up the allies and she'll just inflict a plague. And then Marin, she actually applies 2 plagues on her basic. She'll apply another one, or 4 stacks on all enemies with her special, if she kills someone, that is. And then her Shadow Stride, her one that unlocks a Gear 12, is 2 stacks on everybody. I don't have her Gear 12, so this one's going to take a while. I honestly might take her to Gear 12 for this next run just to make it a bit faster. But these will really get you, in all honesty, with this specific get up, I was able to get about 88 per run. I feel like if I gave Marin a Gear 12 and I gave her that special, I could very easily have crossed 150. Because this one would have almost quintupled my output with the 2 stacks on all enemies. Plus the extra healing and Marin getting the ability to get magic stealth so she prevents herself from dying and, is able to regenerate her turn meter. I feel like that would have really helped. To really maximize it, you need to manually do this battle. If you don't want to manually do it, that's fine. You can auto it, but then just know that at some point, especially if you're facing Mon Mothma teams, your Malik is going to use all 3 drain lives, and his healing immunity, there is a good chance that the enemy won't be able to outpace it, and that they will start dying. So that is something you need to keep an eye out for, because they will have to work around that. And if the enemy doesn't get enough turns for Mon Mothma to dispel the debuffs on the weakest enemy, this will start to hurt you. Okay, Sector 3. So first one is kill 50 enemies with droids. So I have another droid composition here with Sortie. The main difference is I tried my best to swap out with whatever other droids I had available. I didn't pick Lobot here. First off, because he's used in this feat, but also because I don't know if Lobot counts, because he gains the droid tag after the mission starts. I didn't ever test it either, so I'm not 100% sure. But I basically just swapped out as many of the droids as I could for other ones. I'm pretty sure I have other options if I needed them. I just needed, a tank. I needed I wanted supports in there because I had Zealous Ambitions by this point. Again, not required. But you could throw in a 3PO, R2. I bought the Mando pack, so I have IG and Chopper here as well. You could throw all of them in and just kind of see what works for you. But this squad has, I think, a decent balance of defensive and offensive abilities. And with Sortie in the lead, it gives you that survivability. The other one, if you don't have any of those, you're good old-fashioned General Grievous. I don't really think I need to explain. We know how they work. We know they're good. And they typically punch a lot higher, even at low staminas. Momentum, another super cheese one. You just need to have Tusken Chieftain Zeta. Ideally, you would have some gear levels on the original 3 Tusken Raiders, so that way they can, have a little more tankiness and get you more momentum stacks. But you just got to find a turn meter team. Troopers are easily the best one. They will generate a lot of turn meters for you. If you don't have them, you can also use Ewoks, which are going to be a slower grind, but they will get the job done at the end. And then I don't know how, but I was able to actually get a couple momentum stacks off of Mon Mothma teams. So that's maybe another option too. And then Purge, this is a squad that was used for the Purge one a while back. So Malik gets a voluntary Vanguard on him. And then all the other characters, their entire goal is just to spam specials with the Fifth Brother's leadership. This one works best against Mon Mothma teams because Mon Mothma will dispel every time that anyone goes. Because Mon Mothma, it does her dispel on the weakest enemy. So what this can do is make sure that no one ever gets up to 6 stacks. Now, again, same deal as before. If you put this on auto, you will be able to generate the amount of purges you need. However, Malik can put a healing immunity, and then all of a sudden you may end up killing the enemies faster. And the fact that Mon Mothma creates a 6th character, so you actually get 1 extra purge with AoE attacks, it is something to keep in mind. If you have Grand Inquisitor, this is rendered moot. Just use Grand Inquisitor, and I'm sure you can even win battles. This was me basically just farming 1 node with this faction. So do keep that in mind. And then the last one, I just copied it over because it's the exact same one, but it's specifically to gain foresights, is not to win. So you can use the same team we did last time in Sector 2 for the evades. However, this time, your only goal is to spam your foresight abilities with Master Yoda and Hermit Yoda. And anytime you can call an assist, just call in General Kenobi. He will basically generate a foresight for himself and someone else. I think it's like 75% of the time. So you'll generate a shit ton. Master Yoda, in the meantime, will be spreading around 5, as will Hermit Yoda. And so that will generate a decent chunk for you. And then if you really want to get some more, just if once the sortie team recharges, you can throw them in there. The BB-8 will get foresights. He'll spread it around everybody else. The Lobot special will help you out with that. Just do keep in mind, I am not sure if that one will count against you for the droid one, because the Lobot special, calling him a droid after the mission starts. But that is a way that you could generate some more foresights. So there's a lot of crossover between these two. Alright, I got only a couple more minutes before work, so let's see if I can make these quick. So, next one, Sector 4, 50 IT Trooper kills. I think this one needs no explanation. Super Troopers have always been good. You can go with them again. Iden Versio also works well. My Iden's only gear 7 or 8 right now, but I have everybody else on our squad like Relic 5 and higher, so theoretically they could work, but Super Troopers are just so much easier. They cheese the hell out of it, and with Zealous Ambition, again, they just get souped up to the max, so I'm very happy with how that works. 14 battles with Rebels. We have a shit ton of Rebels. These are the 2 that I use because I was able to get 14 with these guys in one go. Like, I literally finished with Leia in the same day, and I swapped over to Luke and finished it out, and I won. But recall, you also do have your Mon Mothma teams. You have your Rogue One squads. If you want to throw your hodgepodge Rolo squad, I don't even know if that'll work, to be honest, but you technically have them. You have Phoenix now as well. They're viable with Rex, specifically with the Rex comp in there. There's a lot of options for Rebels now, and a lot of them have increased in viability since they've been adding new characters and touching up kits. For stealth, I use this cheese here. Now, if you use Leia, Aratus, whomever, Piet here, you'll get a couple stealths here and there. This one will get it for you basically in one battle. It's very much just like the one for the defense up in Sector 1. Maul, specifically this is Darth Maul, not the Mando Maul, but Darth Maul's lead means that when a Sith gets a crit attack on them, they would generate a stealth for themselves. Now, knowing this, I literally just put all my tankiest Sith, find a multi-attacking team, and then just hit auto basic and let them generate the stealth for me. This is actually a time when having like a Phoenix squad or something helps, because since they automatically get increased crit from their faction bonus, every time Sabine would quad tap, or I guess is it 3 or 4? I think it's 4 taps. Every time she quad taps, Malik or Vader, even if they don't go under stealth, they still get counted towards the feet. So it does help you out. I think the only thing that throws it off is if you use a voluntary Vanguard, because then technically they can never get stealth because they're marked. So in this one, that actually works against you. But you can basically just slap on this team onto any multi-attacking high crit team and let them do the work for you.
Now, the only one here I didn't put is ability block, and the main reason for that is ability block is spread amongst so many characters that you can get this one, in all honesty, passively. For Imperial Troopers, Veers has his AoE. If you're going to use a Lord Vader comp, because eventually you're going to find those Padme teams and Vader's a pretty consistent counter, Darth Vader will spread it around, and then so will Lord Vader when he gets his ultimate charge. If you have... oh, God. What's it called? If you're going to use Jabba, you got Boba's AoE ability blocks. You know, there's a lot of characters that can pass it around, and I don't think it's something that needs a specific team because most, if not all, teams have ability block somewhere in their faction in the keystone team, so you will be able to get it no matter what. Lastly, Sector 5. So I skipped the Inquisitors just because I didn't get it. But this is Sector 5, so by this point, I think there's old videos of an Emperor Palpatine comp. You can look up Bit Dynasty videos, they probably have them. But that's probably what I would use. If you have Grand Inquisitor, again, it's a joke. So for the no tank wins, we've seen these time and time again. CLS is a good option. However, I preferred using clones and this ragtag Galactic Republic team just because it double dips with our Galactic Republic global feats. It's not the most optimal teams for the clones nor for the JMK, but you do need to win the battles, and they have the better win rate in my opinion. For evasion down, you have a couple options. So here's the three. So you have the generic Master Luke option where you just basically call in Old Ben constantly until you get 80. This time it is 80, by the way, not the 40 that it's usually been. So that's one option. However, because you also have to get blinds, I prefer the second two options, the second and third options here. So the CLS team needs no explanation, right? 3PO generates an evasion down on a basic. He also generates a blind with his AoE. However, because he's really the only one that does anything on this squad, like CLS can actually kill the enemy a lot faster, so you end up getting less blinds out of it the whole way. I use the second team. Now this one, you don't need it, but it can benefit from having a Leader's Resolve in there, as well as a couple vitalities to buff up Malik's health. What it does is you're going to slap on a Voluntary Vanguard. Malik will tank all the hits. Again, this is going to be against Mon Mothma teams or like Jyn Ocean, someone who's very little on the AoE side of things. You're going to put the weapons tech on 3PO and the tank tech on C-3PO. And the only goal is for you to spam specials with 3PO and Chewie, or to use C-3PO's mass attack on 3PO and Chewie. That way, Chewie constantly has 3 translation stacks. So every time C-3PO uses his basic, 3PO and Chewie has the blind ready to go. And what this can do is this can mean that almost every turn, 3PO and Chewie will be able to get a blind out. And then anytime that C-3PO and R2 use an ability, ideally you just use a non-attacking abilities, he will assist and get you extra evasion downs out of it. This one, I think, is a lot more succinct and a lot more quick to specifically farm those 3 feats. And because I did that, I was able to actually just farm my Galactic Republic wins through Sector 5, and then I used this specific team to go back and just farm my blinds later. And then, so this last one is only named Need to Hit a Woman because Padme is a bitch. She is souped up to like 3,000 speed, I swear. So this was honestly one of the easier ways I found to get the win. So start with the Leader's Resolve, just one of them. 2 or 3 Zealous Ambitions if you can, and a Vitality if you can throw it on top. That should come out to about 3 for Leader's Resolve, 2 for each Zealous Ambition, so that's going to be 9, and then 2 for the Vitality, so that's going to be about 11 data points. And then what you can do is slap on a Caustic Emissions. So the entire point of this is the dash nuke. That's what you're waiting for. The other scoundrels are there to hopefully tank away some of the hits and give you that help. And if you need some extra survivability, instead of Caustic Emissions, you could throw in Entrenched and give you that little protection up. But the goal here is that as soon as dash goes, you'll use your AoE. Your AoE needs to kill Padme for it to work. If it doesn't kill her, then it's going to cause issues. That's the reason you need the Vitality, Leader's Resolve, Zealous Ambitions, because they soup up Rendar's health, especially at his R7, and they hopefully give you that extra oomph. Once she's dead, it's straightforward. And the other faction, the other enemies don't really have much going for them. So you'll be able to knock them out with, the rest of your team comps. But that is something you need to keep in mind, is that this team, I think, is the only one I managed to get work. I was using Galactic Legends. I was using turn meter reduction teams. I was using turn meter gain prevention teams, and nothing was breaking through just because Padme's raw speed was insanely high. And they haven't mentioned that if it was a bug or not, so I don't know if it's going to stay that way. But this team does work, and it did get me the kill. I put on caustic emissions because I was unlucky in the fact that my initial didn't kill her. But when she got the burning and the 2 damage over times, when she started her turn, that instantly killed her. So I was lucky that I was able to put that in there and my team didn't die during the initial salvo. But again, if that's a bigger worry of your survivability, swap out your caustic emissions for entrenched. But to reiterate the data disc, 2 to 3 zealous ambitions, a leader's resolve, a vitality, which is the one that gives you health and like health steal or health and protection. I can't remember what combination. And then your 1 extra space is going to be a toss up between entrenched and caustic emissions, depending on how you feel your survivability is going to be. Now, global feats. So I'm going to go through these real fast. Galactic Republic wins, we've talked about already. I just put 501st here because I didn't really have a specific set for him anywhere else, but he's an option. Now, your 600 B1 kills. You use this on Sector 3 boss, and the way this one's going to work is you are going to basically have 2 tanks that pre-taunt, and their job is basically to tank all the hits so that your SLKR, Watt, and Armor can get the job done. So put a weapons tech, you put that on Armor, you put your health pack on SLKR, and then the entire thing you're hoping for is that Armor will get 3 Beskar ingots, pass on to Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and then Ren basically just goes to town on the B1s and gets all the kills. Now, don't put the weapon tech on Kylo, specifically the Supreme Leader, because every time he generates turn meter or anybody generates turn meter, they actually lose health. So that's why only Armor can take that tank tech or that weapons tech without risking her health loss. And this one, to really maximize it, you need to play manually. Because Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, for some reason, he triggers his ultimate the second he can. He doesn't wait till it's fully charged like other Galactic Legends. And really getting into those 3-turn stances of invincibility, let's use your AoEs and full wipe each wave as they pop up, which really speeds up the process of getting your B1 kills. Your 20 Mando kills, I only have these 5 light side Mandos. I pretty much just farmed Sector 1 bonus nodes, starting with First Order and then moving on to Bounty Hunters whenever they started killing me too quick. The name of the game here is to use your basics. Bo-Katan's lead is when you use a basic, a Mandalorian will assist, dealing 20% less damage, and they stack crit damage when they do this. So if you want to stack this one with some of the crit damage data disc, it actually will help you in the long run to get more damage output and get kills. But even on top of that is I would actually save this 20 Mando wins until you finish the Stop It, which is the 50 stop kills. So you go against the Night Sister team on this one. And basically what you do is you're going to put the weapons tech on... I would put the weapons tech on Stop. I would put the health tech on... or the tank tech on Master Luke. And if you want to slap a health tech on Skywalker, I don't think anyone's going to complain. Your first goal is with Han's shoot first is to kill Mother Talzin so she gets rid of the AoE. And then you're killing all the ads except for Night Sister Spirit. She only has a single target damage ability. So you basically just hit auto basic, specifically auto basic on Zombie. Skywalker will eventually reduce your health to 1 and Stop will always get a kill on her. So you basically just walk away from your phone, 15 minutes later, you'll generate about 15-20 kills. But I want to reiterate, you don't use auto, because if you do, there is an AoE in there with like Skywalker, Luke, and between the two of them, they could kill the Spirit and then your run ends early. It's not going to make much of a difference in the long run. 10 stamina on this team, which is meant to like just tank all the hits, won't really do much. But if you plan on using these characters elsewhere in the same day, it'll at least give you that extra 10% boost you may or may not need. And then the Beck and IG survive kills, or survive wins, I should say. This one is very similar to the comp I used during the time when, I think it was
Malgus's Conquest or Taron Malikos. Basically, it's like you had to have Old Daka, Talzin, and Marin survive. I basically just used Dash Rendar and a pre-taunt, so in this case it was Kylo Ren. And basically, if your team is fast enough, this works a lot better with the Leader's Resolve, but if you go up against like a Bad Batch where Echo is just, for some reason, ungodly slow, you spawn in, Dash will go first, AoE with Zealous Ambitions, and he'll kill everybody. And then once you start to get once your speed starts to get outpaced by Echo, what you do is you swap out your tank for a Thrawn with your fastest speed set. So then he'll just pass his turn on to Dash, and Dash will still get the kill. And then this netted me, honestly, this time around, I was getting about 5 or 6 wins with that comp, with either like Dash and the pre-taunt or Dash and Thrawn a day. And I saved this. You only really need one Zealous Ambition for this one to work, because this is the global, so go to Sector 1 and do it. Your Bad Batches are always, for some reason, the slowest teams, even though typically they're not meant to be. So they really just kick ass against that squad, and they will make short work of them. And the reason I was saying wait on the Mandos here is because the B1 squad, when you get that feat done, you get Booming Voice, and Booming Voice really does augment the Mando squad. So the base principle still is there, where you're basically going to have, using your basics so that you get constant assist, you'll kill everybody that way, add some critical damage data disc in there or whatnot. But if you get Booming Voice, every time Bo-Katan goes, she'll also call on the whole team, so you can basically just nuke a character out of existence. When I was doing this against First Order, I was basically using that against Hux. Hux was preventing counterattacks, and he's the one that really stops any kind of TM trains, assist trains. So I just okay, let's just knock him out of the park and get it over with. But I think that really just covers about everything. I think it was succinct enough, and I think it was detailed enough at the same time that you should understand. I will probably, when I post this, I'll put maybe my thoughts and feelings about the Conquest, as well as some other data discs that will be pretty useful in the bottom, in the description, because there's a decent amount of new ones that can help, but also aren't entirely necessary. But I'll put some options that you guys have in terms of data discs that can help you out in the long run. But hopefully this helped. Hopefully you guys were able to get something out of this for the next block so you guys can prepare properly. And if you guys have any questions, just shoot me a message through the Discord chat, and I'll be able to find a way to hopefully give you guys a way to cheese some of these feats. All right? Peace.